serving and empowering nurses. This is Nurse Connect with Kristine.
Hello again, everyone, and to our podcast viewers. And I wanted to acknowledge Trisha, the beautiful Trisha. Hi, Trisha.
Hi.
Yes,
Hello.
look, thank you so much for saying yes to our interview today. And I believe our audience, thank you, audience, for listening and tuning in today. And I believe we have an informative and insightful podcast interview today by Trisha, who is a beauty and cosmetic nurse injector. And I hope you do tune in for the rest of the interview, as Trisha will give us information and tips on working as a cosmetic injector here in Australia. And so, without further ado, I just wanted to introduce our beautiful guest today. She's got a lot of experience in nursing, by the way, guys. 19 years, and she doesn't even look it. Still look beautiful and young. And
Thank you.
she's been actually a cosmetic nurse for 2 years now, and we're gonna find out soon more details about that. But she's also been invited to a few master classes with world-renowned plastic surgeons and cosmetic surgeons as well. I'm very proud of you,
Thank
Trisha.
you.
Okay, of what
Thank
you have accomplished. And for those of you who doesn't know Trisha, I've met her at work. She's very kind, and I can remember Trisha. We were talking to each other, and I think you're
Yes.
just putting up with my talks, right? Because I talk a lot.
It's okay. It was
but
quite,
but
it was
yeah,
interesting.
and I thought, Trisha is just so kind and, beautiful. And we've talked about actually cosmetic injecting, and here she is. She's
Mm.
fulfilled her dreams, right? And so, thank you, Trisha, for helping our nurses community for this awareness that you're about to give them. Okay, and I know that it's gonna help a lot of nurses. And so let's dig straight away to the question. We don't want to waste time, right? The listeners are
That's okay.
excited to actually hear from you. And so the first question, Trisha, why did you enter the world of cosmetic medicine, and what pushed you to become a cosmetic nurse?
Oh, okay. It's always been ever since I was young, I've always been interested in the world of plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery. Growing up, I've been exposed to because my parents, they've always been like in the medical industry, so
Mm,
I've been exposed to a lot, and it's always like I've always been interested in it. um but I never thought I'd become a cosmetic injector. What
mm-hmm,
pushed me, these days you see a lot of women and even men, um, they're sort of not satisfied with how they look. Look, I believe everyone is beautiful in their own little way. Um, and it's just, like you hear a lot of sob stories as well, um,
yeah.
with regards to why they're getting like all these injectables. And you just want to be there throughout their journey to help them and make them
Mm,
realize that they're actually beautiful.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so good, Trisha. Yes, and I've seen Trisha's work; they're amazing, and I
Yeah.
might even include her work, in the YouTube or the podcast description, just for you guys to have a look, really, of what how Trisha has been putting her work, beautiful work, to the patient or the client that she looks after. And the
Mm.
other question, Trisha, are you enjoying your work so far as a beauty and cosmetic injector? And which could you let the nurses know which other area of nursing do you still work?
Oh gosh. Okay, so my background is emergency.
Mm.
19 years. Emergency, theatre, anesthetics. I've also
Wow.
worked as a correctional health nurse and also a dermatology nurse. A lot. Um,
Wow, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's
Proud of
just
you, Trisha.
thank you. At the moment, apart from being a cosmetic nurse, I still work in the hospital, so I'm still a hospital nurse.
Mm.
I work
Yeah,
in neurology, neurosurgery, and anesthetics and recovery.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you enjoy all of that so far?
I enjoy all of it. Like a lot of people ask me if
Okay.
I'll ever I'll ever give up hospital nursing. I'm not sure at this point. I don't think I will because
Mm-hmm.
what you do in the hospital, what you learn in the hospital is actually different from what you experience in the clinic. And it's just a
Exactly.
whole
Yeah.
different ballgame, you know? Like what you learn,
Yeah.
you can always put into practice.
That's so true, Trisha, and
Yeah.
that's something I'm still thinking about, by the way. But I haven't really worked in a hospital setting for a while now. But I will still love to work because
Mm,
the the return of the investment that you put in, the work that you do, it's reciprocated by that caring, instead of like
mm,
us being, because it's like a very fulfilling work, isn't it, Trisha?
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
It's different. It's
yeah. And
different being able to help someone, especially in their most vulnerable state.
yes, and I think we that's the great thing about nursing, right? There's a lot of different areas we can work to.
Correct.
And at one point I was working as a cosmetic injector as well. I love it,
Yeah.
and I believe, like, don't be scared to get into it, because you are supported by a lot of your colleagues and experts that are there to guide you. So for those of you wanting to get into that, but there is a lot of nurses, I believe, wanting to go through this pathway, Trisha. Okay. I
Yeah.
remember I was facilitating, and these emergency nurses always ask me how to be a cosmetic injector, and so yes, how would you start to become one, Trisha? Because for me, I haven't really continued my cosmetic injecting, right? But for you, you're
Mm.
current and still practicing that. And how do you continue on that? And is it hard? Or is there any tips that you can give them to get, their foot on the cosmetic industry?
Okay. How do you start to become one? You just
Mm,
have to look for at least like a training center, an academy who, it has quite a strong background when it comes to
I see.
cosmetic industry. Um, learn your basics from them. Learn from, each and every single injector or doctor that, they present you. Learn as much as you can. Um, is it hard? Well, in the beginning, like it's still hard for me at times because you
Mm,
continuously learn. Like in life, you learn every day. You learn, not just in the field of nursing. You learn every day.
so
So
true.
open your mind and just take in as much as you can, and find a mentor who your ethics, your ethos, you align
Mm-hmm.
with. It's just you'll meet a lot of injectors out there, and yeah, okay, like a lot of all injectors are good, but you just have to find that one person whose ethics are like yours.
True. Yeah. I love your guide there, Trisha. That first of all, of course, I didn't even mention that you gotta have to, because you need another qualification, right, to be a cosmetic
Hmm.
injector. Of course,
Yeah.
you need an extra study, and that's what Trish has done. Okay, so she's researched a reputable school to start with, of course, and then she said mentors, which I think very
Yeah.
important, Trisha, that you
Hmm.
pointed out, because a lot of mentors out there, they just wanting to get the money, the cash,
Oh
it's
yeah,
part
yeah,
of it, of course. That's why a lot of the nurses are going into the beauty industry, because everyone knows there's money in there. But it's the ethics also, right? Because in the long run,
yeah.
it's definitely not going to sustain you, right, if you're just there for
No,
the money. It's
correct.
always
If you're just
been,
there for the
do you
money,
love it?
yeah, it's if you're only there for the look, people like young nurses now, or even not even young nurses, they just want to get into the cosmetic industry because of the money. They only see the glamour of it,
Mm,
but they don't see the hard work that cosmetic
yeah.
nurses put into it. Starting from ground up, it's like becoming. I've been nursing for 19 years, right? And then when I started doing cosmetic nursing, like cosmetic injecting, I felt like a new grad, so you
Mm,
just have to
yeah, yeah.
you just have to start, you just have to go back to the beginning. Remember your
Yeah.
basics. Just always don't forget your basics. You'll never go wrong.
And look, Trisha, I'm very happy as well that you've continued on, with your cosmetic injector. I'm always fascinated about injecting. I don't know, I might still go back to it, but that's still, I'm still thinking about it, actually. But I'm
Yeah,
very
I
proud of
always
you.
wanted to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always wanted
that's
to do
good.
it. It's just COVID happened. So yeah, that's
True.
why,
Yeah,
put a
yeah.
pause with everyone. Yeah.
And I think I can see you continuing this, Trisha, and I believe, you're gonna own your own beauty clinic soon, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that's your passion, I can tell, right? And so a lot of the nurses also usually ask this, Trisha, what are the, like, are you able to give the audience, the nurses, the whole shift? And by the way, for those of you who are just wanting to be you can't be a cosmetic injector without having to being an enrolled nurse or a registered nurse, okay? And so I just wanted to clarify that, isn't it, Trisha? You can't really start injecting until you have that
Mm.
registration as a nurse. Now, the next question, Trisha, are you able to give our audience the whole shift experience, right? Like from the beginning of your shift until the end of your work as a cosmetic nurse injector?
Oh gosh. Okay. So it's not. People might think it's simple, but it's really not, because
Okay.
the night before I check as to how many clients I have for the day, following day, and then
Mm,
what kind of treatments they want. And sometimes when you get to the clinic, they're not even suitable for the treatment that they booked in
see.
for,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
not everyone is suitable for injectables. You've got to
Mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that you have to assess: medical condition, medical history. Now they even included, body dysmorphia. But anyway,
Mm,
so you get to the clinic, you check what you know your patients, you if you've got time, and I make sure that I have time to actually read the notes from before if anyone else has
mm-hmm.
seen them before, so at least I can sort of gauge what I'll be dealing with, right?
Correct.
And then um obviously I make sure that I've got enough stock of injectables, because it's
Mm-hmm.
injectables and S4 medication. We've got to register for that. So we've got
Yeah.
to account for each and every medication that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and obviously you see your patients, you see your clients. Some days when it's no, when it's really busy, you're lucky to have, a lunch break. If not, you just
Mm,
tend to do it after. In the end of your
yeah.
day, you count your medications again, just like in the hospital. You register everything that you've got at the end of the day, if everything
Mm-hmm.
is accounted for, and then you have to make sure that the clinic's clean. So at the end of the day, you're also the cleaner.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that entails, too much details, right? And then
Yeah, yeah. And
I guess, yeah,
we also do notes, clinical notes as well. So you
yeah.
have to make sure that your clinical notes is on point, like every single thing. So
Mm,
in case, there's something, at least you can go back to your clinical notes, just like in the hospital, right? But
yes,
being an
yes.
injector, you're actually working by yourself, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got to
Yeah,
be pretty switched on with everything.
yeah.
So
And independent, right?
yes, yes. And
Yes.
like, 'cause a lot of the nurses these days, they just want to go and finish, their new grad and get into cosmetic
Mm,
nursing. Um
yeah.
I believe, like, for me, I don't think it's the right um choice. You've got to have a few years doing real
Yes.
nursing, doing the
Mm-hmm,
hard
mm-hmm.
yard, because
Yeah.
it's not all just glamour in the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen too. And at least if you're hospital trained, if you know if you know what you're doing, you know what to deal with, you'll be able to deal with, emergency situations in the clinic.
So good, sis. And nurses, this is talking from experience, okay? And Trisha, you gotta consider that Trisha has a lot of experience already before going to cosmetic injecting, and that is so true, Trisha, because you gotta have to be independent. You need to have your own, discretion as
Yep,
working, independently, because you hold the needle, right? And
correct.
you're the one, and so anything needle, right, that requires a lot of details and attention, and
Yeah, and in
and
saying
you
that,
hold,
um,
yeah.
it's not just a needle really, because people, especially if, like, when I took my nursing, and I mean when I did my extra studies, right?
Mm-mm.
um, in my head, like, yeah, right, it's just injecting. What's, what's the big deal? But then
Mm-hmm,
when
mm-hmm.
I finally enrolled for the, you know, fundamentals of injecting, I was told to read my facial anatomy. When was the last time I read facial anatomy? Right?
I don't think we
Back in
did.
uni. And then when I read it again, I was like, oh my God, like, I didn't think it was going to be this difficult, you know? But
It is,
now
yeah.
you just always have to, it's not just the face that you're looking at, you have to know your facial anatomy, because one wrong injection, it can lead to
Definitely.
something bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, when I did the course, Trisha, they are almost scaring us,
Yes.
because it is, that you have to be scared to do it. I hope that
Mm,
makes sense to the nurses. So it's not for everyone. We just wanted to highlight that, because this is the myth, right? Like, it's easy, it's not. And so I've
mm,
been there myself, and it's not that easy. And so you might want to, really consider, and that's why this information, hopefully will help you into considering cosmetic injecting, right? To really
mm,
dig deeper the information, that you need before you start it. Okay. And so
mm.
thank you so much, Trisha, for that. That's a lot of really good input and insight into getting into cosmetic injecting. And I guess this will excite everyone. I don't know if it will, but I'm sure they will. Okay. And I can see, I've heard from Trisha, she's been working, independently, privately as well. Hope you start your own business soon, because the work that you do, it's just excellent. And so
Thank you.
I've seen it. I'm so proud of you, and I'm like, oh, Trisha, go, go, go. But
Thank you.
it's always the pay, right? I'm sure the nurses are excited to hear about it. Are you able to give us an idea, how much does a cosmetic injector nurse in Australia earns. And for those of you who are listening, this is purely from Trisha. Okay, and obviously it does vary from nurses to nurses, and this is just Trisha's experience, and we'll leave it to Trisha if she wanted to go specific into this.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, when you're just starting, it can get a bit depressing because you've put in a lot of money, you've put in a lot of
Mm,
effort, but you're not making that much, right? But then eventually, once you know what you like, once you get the hang of it, once clients start talking about you and refer you,
mm,
what you can earn in a fortnight as a nurse, you can earn in a few hours
mhm.
being a cosmetic injector.
Wow.
But obviously, you don't always think, that money is yours because there's stock that you need to buy. There are other
Mhm.
things, you always have to think, you've got to
Yeah,
save for the rainy day. So
yeah.
you just always have to think ahead. Um, yeah, I mean, the pay is good, but if,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you're just in it for the pay, it's never going to work.
True. Yeah. I remember it's also different, by the way, nurses, in terms of offer or pay in different company that you work for. Okay?
Mm,
Because like the company I work for before, I get 25% each
mm,
procedure. Okay? So I
mhm,
work at the city before for a few months. So it's every client 25%, but some offers you like a full set annual salary. Okay, so that's the other thing with cosmetic surgery. And I love what Tricia said. Look, the more you build up your clients, the more they refer, that's when they're gonna come back to you, right,
correct.
Tricia? And
Yeah.
so Tricia has been upgrading, has been studying, attending seminars. I always see her post. And so she's very specialized on this now, I believe. But Trisha, thank you for that. By the way, there you go, guys. Fortnight, just one few hours. Okay, that's an incentive, but you gotta have to consider other information, right? And so, what
Yeah.
advice can you give our nurses out there, Trisha, in terms of planning to work to similar expertise? I know you've given a few tips already here and there, but in general, what tips can you give them for those who are really keen to go into this pathway?
Mm. Okay, so always be patient because it's not easy in the beginning. There are times that it's still not easy for me. Um, but always remember why you entered it in the first place. Um,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
it's your dream. Always remember it's your dream. It's always been your passion. And
mm-hmm,
always think that, not everyone is for you and you are not for everyone. Your aesthetic
love
style
that.
might be different for someone else and they might not like it. That's fine because there will always be someone for you who's after your aesthetic style. So don't always compare yourself to another injector and always
Mm-hmm.
be hungry to learn new things. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's very good tip, Trisha. Especially the you always wanted to go back to your why, right? Your passion,
Mm,
as you were saying, and being
correct.
patient, of course. I remember when I was starting my business, I only have one client. Okay, and so it builds up. It's not like and because we have to remind everyone, Trisha, especially the new generation, right? They want
Mm,
everything quick,
quick.
but
Yeah.
this is an advice for you out there to be patient. If you really love it, it will grow naturally, right, Trisha? And never,
Yeah.
I love that, Trisha, never compare. Okay,
Mm,
because everyone has got different talent, and that's why you gotta have to step into your own niche, just so
mm,
you be able to flourish wherever you're at that moment in your
correct.
career or your season in life. So just continue to, be patient and pursue what
Yeah,
you're
and just
doing.
always be hungry
Okay,
to learn new things, you know? I mean, even
that's
if
it.
you've been in the same, you've been sent to, the same what training, or you've seen the same training
Mm,
for like 2 3 times 4 times, still go, because people, like, different people teaches different things. Like, they teach, there are certain
mm-hmm.
ways that this person teaches this way, this person has a different technique. But just always learn. You always learn from people.
Well, I'm actually learning a lot from you, Trisha, with with this interview, and I love that. Always be hungry to learn, guys. I love that
Mhm.
because yes, it's so true. There's always someone, even though you've already learned it, there's always like a different angle to it, right, Trisha?
Correct.
And so
Correct.
I love it. And we're nearly done, by the way, everyone, but the last question we're gonna want to ask Trisha is that what's your long-term goal as a nurse, or in
Ooh,
in general?
what's my long-term goal as a nurse? I still see myself nursing in the next, what, 10 years or so,
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
it's good. Like, I go home at the end of the day, I know I've helped someone. I know
So
I've
good.
helped them in a different way, you know? And that's,
Mm-hmm,
I guess, that has to be your purpose in life, to be able to help someone.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you can add in your goal your own clinic, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah,
But I'll
that's
definitely
another goal.
gonna. Yes, yes. Yeah, look, me, I was asking that, actually my question myself, do I ever stop being a nurse, right? It's just
Yeah.
something that we wanted to keep doing because we love it, And I think
Mm,
that's the main advice for everyone. You got to love what you do because
exactly.
otherwise, it's not gonna
Yeah.
happen for you, right?
I mean,
And so,
nursing for me, I always say I've got a love and hate relationship with nursing, but at the end of the
mm,
day, this is who I am. This is what I am. I'm a nurse,
yeah.
I love what I
Mm-hmm.
do. There are days that I don't like it, but if you love what you're doing, then you're just going to flourish. But if you're just in it for the money, I don't think, it's never going to work.
Yeah. And I just recently answered like one question from a nurse, asking
Mm,
that question, that particular question, that she's being burnt out at work, right? And I
mm,
said to her, that might not be for you, if you feel that way,
yeah.
right? And so we like, it's true, Trisha, there's a love and hate relationship when it comes to nursing, because yes, it could be, draining as well, like how you say the client comes in, they're not even fit for it, either that or
Mm,
what we've done, it's not actually fitting for them. So there's a lot of challenges, but at the end of the day, like Trisha was saying, you gotta really love, what you're doing, not just for the money. And so yeah, so that's it, everyone. And I believe that's a lot of really good information, really good tips from our well experienced registered nurse Trisha, a cosmetic injector, and I'll be hopefully catching up with her soon. So I love being with her, we always have a good chat.
I know.
And yeah, so thank you so much, Trisha, and for the
That's so
nurses for
exciting.
tuning in today. And I'm gonna include Trisha's work on the description when we get this posted. So please check out her work and book in an appointment, of course, right? And we wanted to again thank you so much, nurses, for tuning in and for watching today's podcast. I do hope that you got some information in this particular interview. And I'll be back soon. It's Kristine, your nursing teacher in Australia, serving and connecting nurses and also empowering you to find more information to being a registered nurse in Australia. And thank you
Mm,
again so much, Trisha, for your
No
time
worries.
today. Yeah.
No
See you
worries. Thank
guys.
you. Bye.